Right, welcome everyone. This video is biology paper 1 and 6 mark questions. Okay, if you're not AQA, the 6 mark questions, how we do them still applies. You just might have different topics in your paper 1. So we're going to do maybe 3 on this video and then 3 on another video because we want to go into real detail about how to answer these. So on paper 1, these are our most common 6 mark answers. Just let me move my head across the page. There we go. So, stem cells evaluation, CHD, which is coronary heart disease, treatment evaluation, CHD linked to lifestyle, the photosynthesis practical, required practical, which is about light intensity, drug testing and development of drugs, specific and non-specific immune system, explaining the adaptations of gas exchange, so for example the lungs and the villi, or using data, comparisons, conclusions, sometimes evaluations. Okay, we're not going to do all of these today, but I'm going to give you some hints about how to answer 6 markers. Now the first thing to know is you do not have to write pages and pages to get the 6 marks. What the examiners are looking for is biology words, key words, and if you want to bullet point, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to write extended sentences. In fact, you can probably get 6 marks if you do it right in about 7 or 8 lines, if that. Okay, so we'll give you some tips along the way so that we can see and improve our 6 markers. Right, let's just go down. Here we go. So our first one, describe and explain how CHD is linked to lifestyle factors. So, coronary heart disease. Now, this can be phrased in a different way, and there's a question on the next page which is phrased in a slightly different way, but it wants exactly the same thing. So, the first one, hopefully we know what CHD is, because otherwise we're going to be a bit stuck. And then we're going to look at lifestyle factors. So, basically, anything in your life that makes you more likely to have coronary heart disease, sometimes called risk factors. So risk factors make you more likely to suffer from coronary heart disease. So what I'd like you to do is just take a minute and jot down, there's 3 things that I can think of that are lifestyle factors that may have an effect on whether you get coronary heart disease or not. There may be more, but we want 3 if we can. Okay, hopefully you've had a little go, and it's important to note on this one, describe and explain. So we want a factor and then we have to explain why it might give us CHD. Right, this is the same question written in a different way. Explain how lifestyle can lead to coronary heart disease. So this came up in June 2018. The slide before came up, I think it was 2 years ago. So similar question, just phrased slightly differently. And most of the level 6 answers, or the level 6 marks, are based around these criteria. So if you can get some points, some lifestyle factors, but hardly any explanation, you'll be in level 1, which is 1 mark or 2 marks. If you can get some points with some explanations, you'll be in the 3 or the 4 marks. And if you can get several points, now several is more than 2, so I would say 3 points, with a full explanation and link it to CHD, we will be in the 5 or 6 mark category. But don't ever leave it blank, even if you think, oh, do you know what, I don't really know much. Put something down, because you might pick up a mark or 2 and that could make the difference. Right, so let's first of all think about the three or the main three lifestyle factors. So for me, I'm going to drop them in here. High fat and high cholesterol diet, smoking, lack of exercise. Those are the three that I would probably write about, but it is also genetic, so genetic factors play a part as well. Now already, even if you just write down those three things that I've written, that's three lifestyle factors, so you'll pick up a couple of marks, even if that's all you could write. Okay, so don't leave it blank. So let's see the sort of detail we need to be writing in to get the marks. So a level 1, so remember that's 1 or 2 marks. If you mention eating fatty foods, smoking, not exercising, they've got stress there as well, which can lead to it on top of other things. And genetics may contribute to CHD. So that would be 1 or 2 marks, because you've named a few factors there. You've had a go. That's fine. To get 3 or 4 marks, we need to go into a little bit of explanation. So eating high cholesterol foods will increase, just going to rub that out a minute. Not that too. There we go. Oh. So eating high cholesterol foods will increase CHD risk, as it will lead to more fatty deposits building up and therefore less oxygenated blood flowing to the heart. So that's a really good explanation, but we've only got one factor, eating high cholesterol foods. So we really need 2 or 3. So what has been written is brilliant, but we haven't got enough factors there. Right, so just going to move my head again. Get moved all around all over the place today. And then the next one is our level 3 answer, so 5, 6 marks. So they've got 3 factors. One is high cholesterol foods, more fatty deposits, less oxygenated blood flowing to the heart. So that's what they said in level 2, but that's all they said in level 2. Then we've got smoking. It will increase CHD as it increases blood pressure and increases the risk of CHD via causing more fatty build-up in the heart. So smoking can increase those fatty build-up too. And then not exercising, that will increase blood pressure. Less breakdown of fats, so more fatty build-up in the heart. Okay? So you can see the difference between these answers, and this is what we're aiming for, obviously the level 3 answer. However, write something down, even if you don't think you can get all 6, write down something. Okay, so that was a describe and explain question. Just a little hint, if you're talking about diet in any question, and you want to say poor diet, be specific. So for this one, it's a fatty build-up, so we'd need a low-fat diet. If you've got diabetes, you'd need a low-sugar diet. Do you see the difference? Not just poor diet doesn't mean anything, really. It's kind of a bit nondescript. So we need to be quite specific on that. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. So sometimes with these required practicals, you've got to write a method. When we come to write a method, there are marks for the method itself. There's marks for equipment. There's marks for variables. There's marks for control variables. There's 99% of cases there's a mark for repeat and calculate a mean. So even if you can't write anything else, please write repeat and calculate a mean, because you could pick up 1 mark. Okay, but let's focus in on this photosynthesis one first. So this is the experiment, and what we're trying to do is find out if the light intensity affects how fast our pondweed, which is, if I can get my pen in the right place, oh, it's all the way over there, our pondweed here, we want to get it photosynthesizing, so it's producing oxygen, because we can't measure photosynthesis directly, but we can measure it by how much oxygen is produced. And then we've got a ruler here, so we're going to start at 10 centimetres, see how many bubbles are produced, let's say in a minute, and then we're going to move it back to 20, do it again, move it back to 30, do it again, and so on. And what we should find is the further away we go, the less bubbles, okay, so the less photosynthesis is taking place. Right, now here's some of the questions. We're going to write the method in a minute, but here's some of the questions that you may get asked. So the results: the closer the lamp, the quicker the bubbles are produced, so a higher rate of photosynthesis. That's a conclusion. So if it says, what can you conclude from this experiment? That's what you're going to be writing. Sometimes they'll give you a graph or a table of results as well. Okay. The other things they ask about, why may it be inaccurate? Because not all the bubbles are the same size. You're counting bubbles, but you might count one and it's tiny, and you might count one and it's big. So they might say, what's an improvement? So you could say, instead of counting bubbles, you could use a gas syringe to collect the oxygen. Okay, why should you leave the plant for a few minutes before starting to count bubbles? So the plant can adjust to the light that we've got, because plants, their reflexes aren't as quick generally. So it takes them a few minutes to realise they're away from the light. So they need time to adjust and get those bubbles going at the correct rate. The other thing they ask about is heat from the lamp is a source of error. How do we avoid this? Because obviously if it's warming up, the rate's going to increase as well, which is, we're not controlling that temperature. So you could say something like, place a glass screen in front of the beaker, so the light gets through, but heat doesn't. You could use an LED lamp because they don't give out heat. All right. And then the last bit here, what are the other limiting factors apart from light? So why doesn't the photosynthesis rate go up and up and keep going up and up and up? Because it's limited by the amount of carbon dioxide it has. Okay, and the temperature, but the main one is the carbon dioxide. We can't say it's limited by water because it's in water. So we can't say that one. Okay, so those are some of the questions you could be asked. Let's look at the method and how to write a method when it asks us in these exam questions. Right, sorry, it's a little bit stretched, this one, because I had to try and fit it on the page. So let me move my head over there. So light intensity, carbon dioxide concentration and temperature are three factors that affect the rate of photosynthesis. How would you investigate the effect of light intensity on the rate of photosynthesis? The image below shows some of the apparatus you might use. You should include details of how you would set up the apparatus, materials you would use, the measurements you would make, and how could you make this a fair test. Okay, so a lot of information there, but it's basically the side before, it's that practical. Okay, so you can draw a little diagram of apparatus if you want to, as long as it's labelled. If you don't label it, it doesn't mean anything, it's just like a random picture. And what I want you to do is, when you do these, imagine you're doing it in bullet points and you're explaining it to someone who's a bit younger than you. Okay, so maybe someone who's about 12. You can explain it to them, not the whole practical, just get them to set it up. So that's what you're thinking. So For example, you might say, fill a beaker with water. All right? You've got the beaker there. You've got the pondweed. Fill a beaker with water. Put the pondweed in. Make sure... Oh, actually, no, we're not comparing pondweed, so that's fine. Put the pondweed in. Set up a meter ruler. Put the lamp 10 centimetres from the pondweed. Okay, so literally simple steps. It doesn't have to be technical. It doesn't have to be long, and it doesn't have to be pages and pages. It has to be step by step, and the examiners are looking for keywords. All right, and if you look at the hints down here at the side over here, what variables will be controlled? What will the independent variable be? That's hard to say. What will your dependent variable be? How will you use each piece of equipment? And how will you ensure accuracy of results? Right, I'm going to show you one that's been written. Okay, yours does not have to be exactly the same, because if you see the mark scheme, there's usually about 15 different points you can have, and you only need to get 6. Okay, you only need to get 6 marks. So we don't have to put in every single one of, of everything we can think of, as long as we can get 6 and the method works. So here's an example of a method. Here's an example of a method again. There we go. So look at this first one. Just like I said, fill the beaker with water and place the pondweed in it. Right? Imagine you're explaining it to someone who's 12. The examiner knows nothing, so you must tell them everything. Now this next one, some people do in the experiment and some people don't. If you don't, that's fine. Put sodium hydrogen carbonate in and place the lamp 10 centimetres away using the ruler. Okay, so if you use sodium hydrogen carbonate in yours, that's fine. If you didn't, you can just say place the lamp 10 centimetres away using the ruler. Count the amount of bubbles released in 1 minute. Repeat 3 times at each distance and find a mean. Okay, that's on pretty much every experiment. Ensure, now we're going to go into the control variables. Ensure you keep the temperature the same by using a heat screen between the lamp and the pondweed. I think I've missed a word there. We're going to use the same mass of pondweed, the same mass of sodium hydrogen carbonate if you're using it, and then repeat the whole thing a further 10 centimetres away. So with that, you can get 6 marks easily. All right, so you don't have to write pages and pages. In fact, if you are writing pages, you're probably writing stuff that is irrelevant and you don't need. Okay, hopefully that's the pondweed experiment done. I'm just going to flip to the next slide and see what we've got next. Oh yes, developing drugs. Okay, so often this comes up. So basically, how are drugs tested from start to finish before it's available to the public? And again, the examiners are looking for keywords. Describe and explain the tests. Right, so most people know this off by heart. If you don't, then just learn it. Just learn the words, learn the keywords. Okay. So if it was just describe, we could say tested on cells, tested on animals. Because it's an explain, we have to say why. So we are testing for toxicity, or are they, you could say, are they poisonous or are they toxic if it's easier. Okay, then we're going to test on humans. And they are healthy humans, healthy volunteers. Why? To test for side effects. Okay. And we use healthy volunteers so that we know the side effects are just to that drug and not for something else. Right, but then we're going to test on a larger group, and we're going to test for efficacy. Now, that means how effective it is. Does the drug actually work? So there's no point in having a drug if it doesn't cure what it's supposed to be curing. Okay, and another large group to test for dosage. And then blind trial. Now, a blind trial, the doctors know who's getting the drugs, but the patients don't. Some will have a placebo, which is a fake drug. It's usually a sugar pill. And then we'll have a double-blind trial, which is where the doctors don't know who's taking the drugs, and neither do the patients. The only people that know are the drug companies who's taking the actual real drug. And that is to eliminate bias. So that eliminate bias means there's no favoritism to anybody. Okay, so when we talk about drug testing, we need to talk about it's tested on cells, tested on animals, healthy volunteers, blind trial, double-blind trial, and then all these testing for side effects, testing for toxicity, testing to see if it works, efficacy. All right, and that's we do a double-blind trial to eliminate bias. And that is plenty more than 6 marks, okay? So I'm going to stop there on this one. I'm going to do another video for another 3 6 markers. So well done, everyone. If you're still with me, take care, and I will see you on the next one.